On today's Mega News Show, Tesla suggests Australia could do more than just mineral supplies. BMW announces 2 new EVs for Australia, and a lot more. G'day, my name's Chris and I cover electric vehicles, solar, wind, battery storage and more. If you're new to the channel, thanks for coming along here. Consider subscribing, it does genuinely help the channel. Think about sharing this video on your socials, and if you want to support the channel at the next level, join us over here on Patreon, where from as little as $2.50 per month, that's like 60 cents per week, you get early access to news, polls, behind the scenes, and well, stuff that I just can't show you here. And a big thank you to my producers, Alan Byrne, Ashley Hill, MN ICT Specialist, Nigel Ferrier and Tessa on the Gong. Being Monday's Mega News Show, please use the chapter markers to navigate to the bit that you want to see. I denote the R with the brackets around it, saying that it was shown publicly last week, so you may have already seen it. But conversely, you probably haven't seen the stuff that my Patreon saw. So yeah, look at the ones with the P around it. Yeah, the P. It's got to be a better way of doing that. Okay, hope that's understood. Let's go. I've got bad news for some Starlink pre-order holders in Australia. If you're located in greater areas of Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth, you won't be able to get Starlink. Why? Because when Starlink applied for a license to operate in Australia, the Australian Media and Communications Authority only gave them a green light to operate in Area 74. Seen here, that means that if you live in, say, Sydney, Wollongong or north of Newcastle, you won't be able to get Starlink. Moving north, the region spans south of the Gold Coast, right up into the heart of the Sunshine Coast. For those in Melbourne, you're looking at Pakenham past Geelong, as far north as Wood End. It's a pretty big area. For residents in South Australia, it's not so bad with Adelaide, Seaford and Smithfield falling under this ban. Over in Perth, the area encompasses from Warnbro to Currumbine. Many would argue why. You see, AMCA, they regulate and authorise technologies like Wi-Fi, mobile phone spectrum, transmitters and more. In Starlink's filing, 2 things stand out. First, the satellites are called spaceships, and Starlink was granted permission on band 74 low and remote density areas only. This means that they can't sell you or allow you to use Starlink in suburban or greater metropolitan areas, as already detailed. I imagine some people are baffled by this and disappointed, hoping that they would actually kiss the NBN goodbye. But Starlink could apply for a different band and open up this area to include more regional spaces, something that I think Starlink would actually be very good at. If you want to go and check it out yourself and see if you're affected, particularly those who are living on the boundaries of these spaces, use the links I left down below and check it out. The luxury car tax, that's an extra tax paid on vehicles over a certain dollar value, will be raised July 1, along with this thing. Follow the link if you want to know more. This changed the 2nd year in a row, which is good because for 4 years it was stuck at the same threshold. Meanwhile, actually petrol internal combustion engines ones increased. Silly politicians. For my overseas viewers, a quick explainer. Say your ICE car is $70,000. That means on the difference between $69,152 and $70,000, that's $842 and change, you would pay 33% tax on that dollar amount, equating to $277 in luxury car tax. Sadly, in Australia, EVs are expensive, often more than the LCT threshold, and the impact would be several $1,000s more paid in tax. And that therefore makes EVs even more unaffordable, and that's why we have such low uptake in this country of ours. I appreciate what the government has done here, and that making EVs a bit more affordable, but why don't they stop raising the threshold for ICE cars, like they did for EVs? By doing that, it would actually mean a cost-neutral exercise. People who go buy ICE cars will pay more tax, and in turn that money could actually be used to enable EVs to be purchased without luxury car tax. Yeah, no? Comment below as to what you think could work. Up next, not one, but two stories on BMW's upcoming EVs, the i4 and iX. BMW Australia has announced that its iX will soon be on our roads. I know, I'm shocked too. Even more shocking, the price. Costing between Australian $135,900 and $169,000, the BMW iX SUV undercuts Tesla's Model X by 50 grand and will be available a lot sooner too, because, you know, hashtag Tesla prioritizes America over the rest of the world. Yeah, I'm jealous, but seriously, Tesla, come on already. Model S delayed another week in the US, and Model X now showing as available in Australia end of next year. That includes the Model S. My gosh, for a car company who's pushing to go global, it's not a good look, especially when up until end of last year, you could order these cars and get them, and now you've got over a 2-year drought. It's not a good look. It's not something you should be doing. And I appreciate you're ironing out the little kinks in the Model S right now and Model X soon after that. But to actually withdraw a product from I've read about this before. Please, Elon, just every Aussie Tesla fan out there is probably crying right now. And this BMW iX, they'll be seriously looking at it going, my lease is due soon. I can't get another brand new Model X, so I may as well go by that. 3 years later, they've forgotten about you. That's just how it is. Anyhow, the BMW iX will come in 3 models, with power ranging from 240 to 385 kilowatts, torque a very respectable 630 to 765 Newton meters. The xDrive 50 Sport variant will get from 0 to 100 in just 4.6 seconds. Range is good, from 425 to 630 kilometers, from a battery pack varying in size from 77 to 112 kilowatt hours. Fast charging, tick, 200 kilowatts DC, but disappointingly, and if I'm reading this correctly, and I reckon I am, at-home charging with the onboard charger only 11 kilowatts. I would expect more, especially given that size of battery pack and the larger 50 variant. So yeah, hey Beamer, no, up it, 18 at least, just saying. All 3 SUVs get a 5-year subscription with ChargeFox, nanofiber filter to purify the air, and get this, interior ventilation for not just seats, but also some surfaces. I've never seen that before. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, Australian summers, things can get hot inside a car, so actually that's probably a really good idea. Other standard features include heated steering wheel, electric seats with massage function, and boy do I like this screen. Very nice. And the one that I think will do very well, the xDrive 50 Sport, has an awesome Sky Lounge, Bowers & Wilkins Diamond sound system, with speakers integrated out of sight into like head restraints and other places, and bass shakers under the front seats. Seriously, who are they selling this car to? Maybe this guy? Or maybe this guy? I'm not sure, but yeah, it's okay. I guess everyone likes great audio. Other worthy mentions include adaptive air suspension and soft closed doors. Available later this year, the BMW iX, in my humble opinion, will be on Tesla Model X shoppers' try list. Just like 8 centimeters shorter, 3 centimeters narrower, and actually 1 centimeter taller, BMW has priced this car to undercut Tesla, and I think because of that delay that we're getting with the Model X, we'll see these cars on our road for sure. BMW Australia has opened orders for the BMW i4, with deliveries expected early next year. Seen here, the BMW i4 is the brand's first electric vehicle that is sports focused. Huh? Wasn't the i8 sporty enough? Looks great, doesn't it? Fast, mean, but I guess it burnt dyno juice. Let me rework BMW's spin. This BMW looks very similar to the 3 and 5 series, but this is the first pure electric car. I like the look of it, but again, I'm calling out Beamer on its recent trend of, well, what it calls its kidney grille, but to me it's like two large double teeth mammoth. Oh, I just can't handle it. It's ugly. It's just plain ugly, and I get that looks are subjective, but come on guys, that and the iX, no. Hidden inside the pseudo grille is a suite of cameras, ultrasonic and radar sensors. Energy consumption is anywhere between 24 to 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. Power, a very nice 400 kilowatts, from 2 electric motors with peak output at 795 newton meters. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 5.7 seconds, and range up to 510 kilometers from a 83.9 kilowatt hour battery. Real world practicalities, the i4 can do DC fast charging up to 200 kilowatts. Interior looks on trend with an executive high-end cabin with 14.9-inch infotainment curved touchscreen and a 12.3 digital instrument cluster. BMW promises over-the-air updates, route planning including mid-journey stops for charging, extensive smartphone integration including use of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and naturally an impressive safety suite of no less than 40 different technologies like front collision warning, lane departure, traffic light awareness, parking assistant and more. Going off script for a moment, I reckon this car would do well out here. With those hallmark lines, fit and finish and, well, Beamer's badge, there's no doubt that this car will get ICE car owners into electric vehicles. If you like what you see, you can actually pre-order now through BMW's Australia website. There are some people who have vision, power and capability, and I'm once again impressed by Robin Denholm, chair of Tesla Incorporated, who last week spoke at the Australian Minerals Council conference in Canberra about her vision for Australia and its place in energy and renewable supply, noting that the worldwide transition to electric vehicles and sustainable energy could present Australia with the opportunity to revive local automotive manufacturing industry. Ms. Denholm said, "We can achieve a thriving economy fueled by better jobs, mining jobs, advanced manufacturing jobs, technology jobs, renewable energy jobs, and a thriving environment enabled through cleaner energy and practices." Can Australia move even further up the value chain to large-scale cell manufacturing, to vehicles? In my view, that's a possibility. Australia has the minerals, the know-how, and many other skills. Indeed, Australia has 9 out of 10 minerals needed to make batteries for electric vehicles, and here's some numbers for you. Tesla was on track to spend more than $1 billion a year on Australian-mined lithium, nickel, and other minerals needed to make batteries for its electric vehicles. An estimated 3/4 of Tesla's lithium is sourced from Australia, and more than 1/3 of it is nickel. Every electric vehicle has about $5,000 worth of minerals in it. Now imagine if Australia not only supplied Tesla, but also Ford, GM, Honda, Fiat, more. We would absolutely be the powerhouse just for the electric vehicle market. Then think about home batteries, grid storage, and more. My gosh, it's limitless, right? So instead of sending raw materials off ships to be made into batteries or EVs, and instead it was processed onshore in Australia, Ms. Denholm estimates that the value to our country just for Tesla alone would be more than $2 billion per year. Meanwhile, what are our silly politicians doing? This and this. Yep, more than $600 million of taxpayers' money for gas. Gas. Why? When the International Energy Agency said that realistically now into the future there should be no more fossil fuel industries being built, what our Neanderthal buddies doing? Angus, what are you doing? He's building himself and his buddies a gas power plant that we don't actually need. Oh, and P.S. Angus, in a few weeks I'll be talking about you. Yeah, just you wait for that one. Getting back to Ms. Denholm and her comments to the Minerals Council, she said that, "I don't know whether Australia will manufacture full vehicles again, but I know Australia can because I've seen us do it before. I know if we do, they'll be electric." Every Australian right now, Aussie Giga, Aussie. And so I'm hopeful, even if we don't get a Tesla Giga plant down under, as her speech to the right people, the Mineral Council people, and hopefully some politicians, will translate to more jobs like this. Imagine Australia, where lithium is mined in Ravensthorpe, it's refined in Kwinana, used to manufacture battery cells in Rockhampton, which are installed in a bus built in Moss Vale. The bus is recharged with equipment built and designed in Brisbane, powered by Australian solar energy courtesy of silicon quartz mined in South Australia. It's actually not that hard to imagine because most of the things are already happening or about to happen. Here's hoping. It's been a few weeks, so time for a little bit of an update on charging. Last week, Tesla opened Australia's first V3 Supercharger, capable of charging Teslas up to 250 kilowatts, or better put, from 0 to 80% in less than 20 minutes. This one is located in Tasmania, in Devonport specifically, next to the Spirit of Tasmania docking area. This is yet another piece of a jigsaw puzzle that means that if you drive an EV, you almost certainly can traverse Tasmania in an electric vehicle and always be within 100 metres of a charging point. In more good news for Tasmania, the government's announced that it will be supporting a statewide network of 12 fast chargers as part of their Electric Vehicle Charge Smart Grants program. And what seems to me to be a bit of a re-announcement of something they've already announced. See Utopia if you've never seen it. It's a very good indicator of what Australian politics is like. The Tasmanian government has promised a further $600,000 in grants towards fast and destination charging stations in regional and tourism destinations. Additionally, to assist Tasmanians to buy an EV, they've committed to waive stamp duty for electric vehicles purchased in Tasmania for the next 2 years. Awesome. At least that's going to be about $2,000 saving per vehicle. And whilst they're at it, they're actually going to be waiving registration for electric vehicles purchased by rental car companies and coach operators for also the next 2 years. And I'm sounding like a bit of an infotainment knife advert. But wait, there's more.
2 hours later.
They've set an ambitious target to transition the government fleet to 100% electric vehicles by 2030. Excellent, Tassie. Good to see support for electric vehicles in a state that is run by renewable power, 24/7 no less. Aussie, hey, my video is getting a lot of views and climate deniers love it for some reason. I'm not very sure why. Back to the topic of EV chargers, Shell and EVIE Networks are about to open a rapid charger in Taylors Lakes, which is great because it's literally minutes from my home. So I jumped in the car and grabbed this footage. Located on the corner of Kings Road and Melton Highway, this rapid charger has 4 points. But because one of the chargers is parallel to a bay, you can only get 2 going at once. Growing evidence of Shell transitioning to an energy business, you see the signage in their livery. Looking at the paper on the subject, they're stating that by 2030 they'll have 2.5 million chargers worldwide, which is all great and all, but I still actually question their motives given that their roadmap going towards being carbon neutral is by 2050, and if you look at this roadmap, 2045 they're like nowhere near it, then suddenly in the last 5 years, surprise, surprise, they make it. Recent rumblings, I think this will actually be a lot sooner, and well, let's all face it, Shell gets it. They've got to go there somehow, and this is one way in which they're going to support that. So I'll update you here when it does open. Alright, get your diaries out, folks. This week, there are 2 events that I'll be watching and one which I wish I was going to. First up will be Apple's 2021 Developer Conference, held tomorrow at 3 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. Next is RACQ's Motorfest 2021. This will be held at the Brisbane Showgrounds and feature a section called Future Zone, where you can explore electric vehicles, electric motorcycles, e-scooters, e-bikes, home EV chargers, EV conversions, and a lot more. It's got an impressive list of attendees and exhibitors rather. So yeah, go check it out. They'll be held on Sunday, 13th of June, 2021. All the details are down beneath. There's a new kid on the block who's going to change the way people think about electric vehicles. Meet the Rimac Nevera. This electric hypercar was unveiled yesterday, and wow, this car is going to make fans of Ferraris, Porsche, and name your hypercar here, because this thing is the fastest car in the world. Packed with 4 electric motors, so absolute 4-wheel drive, meaning many different drive modes, which I'll talk about in a minute. This car can deliver 1,427 kilowatts of power and more than 2,360 newton meters of torque. Top speed 412 km per hour, 0 to 100 km per hour in 1.97 seconds. Put another way, 0 to 60 miles per hour in 1.85 seconds. Right now, that's faster than Tesla's upcoming Roadster. For some giggles, check out Matt Watson's Car Wow video where he does a quarter-mile race against a Ferrari. His expressions say it all. Inside the cabin, a 2-seater only, it features a very low floor to help with entry and exit from the car, and also to aid in aerodynamics. The 120 kilowatt-hour battery pack is in a T-shaped configuration, and pleasantly, the interior and fit-out is not Spartan like you might see in other high-end performance cars. If you've ever seen the Porsche 911 GT3R, they basically have stripped that car out. Stereo, nah. Aircon, nah. Windows, nah. They've got perspex glass. Honest to goodness, they have. This, no, they've got motorized seats. You've got air conditioning. It's going to be a pleasant place to be. The price of entry, $3.2 million. 3.2, and only 150 will be built. So get your orders in fast, folks. Here's some highlights which my Patreon saw in full last week. First up, its brakes. On each corner, the car features 6 piston calipers and 3 90mm Brembo carbon ceramic disc brakes. Going so fast means that being able to stop even faster is vitally important. To ensure this happens, they fitted the car with a complex electro-hydraulic brake booster with brake pedal feel simulator. Get that, it actually is simulating braking when in actual fact it might not be. What it does is it distributes braking force between either the friction brakes or electric powertrain, depending on the battery, powertrain situation, and obviously braking state. Keeping that battery and by extension driver happy, the car incorporates numerous aerodynamic elements to keep the Nevera cool, stable, and efficient. For instance, the front bonnet profile, underbody flap, rear diffuser, and rear wing can each move independently. If the driver selects high downforce to low drag mode, it reduces aerodynamic drag by 17.5% to create a 0.3 coefficient drag. Not bad. We know of other cars that are actually more slippery than this, but nonetheless, what's exciting here is though, if it gets changed back to high downforce, it increases it by 325%. That's excellent and what you need to help you go around corners crazy fast. As mentioned earlier, the 4 motors can work independently of each other, and the car has several modes from pure 100% front wheel drive, I kid you not, drifting, track, and more. Called the Rimac All-Wheel Torque Vectoring 2 system, it replaces traditional electronic stability program and traction control to further bolster grip and traction. But it's seriously clever in that it can indefinitely vary dynamic responses to road and track conditions by calibrating the amount of torque supplied to each wheel. It does this by making over 100 calculations per second to tailor to the driving mode, driving style, and weather, and a heck of a lot more. I'm really excited by this Hyper EV. And whilst price, limited build and over-the-top specs will mean that very few people will see this car, I guarantee you, in the car world, it will feature heavily on track day events, quarter mile drag races, on YouTube, in the media in general, and petrol heads, they will actually understand what EVs can do, and instead, they'll be dreaming of electric vehicle as being their next car. Well, if you've watched up to this point, thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. If you want to thank me even more, just subscribe. It's free and honestly it does help the channel. If you want to support the channel and get more news like this more often, early access, behind the scenes, polls, and yeah, stuff that I just can't share here, come and join us over here on Patreon, where from as little as $2.50 per month or 60 cents per week, you get this and a lot more. And again, you guys be good, be great.